Hi, my name is David Summerfleck, and I wanted to take a few minutes to briefly discuss free websites and why I personally and professionally feel that they are bad for business. My business website is DMS.BLUE, and DMS also happens to be my initials. And I'm also a digital marketing specialist with about 20 years experience working as a web developer and SEO strategist and brand consultant for quite a number of mid-level marketing agencies throughout North America. And basically, I wanted to touch on this topic because it's one that is extremely wildly popular. Um, it's natural that people love the idea of trying to get something for nothing. What can I get for free? Now, the problem with this approach is that it severely limits what you can get back in return. If I only want clothing, for example, that's free, well, then I'm limited to clothing that may or may not fit, that may be, smelly, that may or may not look professional or clean, that may or may not, be blue, for me. But you kind of get my point. If we obsess over price and everything needing to be cheap or free, then it severely limits what we can or cannot do, from our physical safety, to our health, to the longevity of our business. And free DIY template generator type services such as Wix and Weebly and Squarespace and WordPress.com are extremely attractive to people who don't really have legitimate businesses or who are new to business and don't really know where to begin. So I wanted to basically touch on the downside of these template generator services. And it's not for people to come work with me because the majority of people are not going to be a good fit for me. They're going to want something that is super cheap or free. And I'm not going to take a company and make them number one on Google or spend weeks working with them and developing a strategy and marketing plans for them and do all of that for free. So the majority of startups and small business owners are not going to be a good fit. So I'm providing this basically as information to try to help as many struggling business owners out there before they make decisions that are going to hobble them for the foreseeable future. I've met many business owners who basically have lost years of their lives and probably hundreds of thousands of dollars chasing after this dream of trying to get something for nothing. And it's sad, it's really unfortunate, but millions and millions of people are out there chasing their tails with this fantasy. I knew a lawyer who struggled for years and is still doing it with a free DIY website. It had no photos, did not look professional at all, had ads all over it for the company and for his competitors. And he couldn't figure out why it wasn't number one in Google and on and on and on. And he just refused to invest a penny in ever working with a professional. So I just told him, look, I'm sorry for what you're going through, but I can't help you and no one can because you refuse to invest. And it also makes people wonder, if you're not willing to invest, why would anybody else be willing to work with you? So let's just break all this down, okay? Number one is visibility. If you have a free DIY website, it's highly unlikely, if not doggone near impossible, that it's ever going to reach the top of Google search results. And if it doesn't get to the top, what's the point? Studies have shown conclusively that if your website is not on the first page of Google, at the very least, then 99% of consumers are not going to see it. So you need to be at the top of Google search results on that first page for anybody to ever see it. That's number one. Now, these free DIY template generator builder things are not going to list you at the top of Google search results. Why? Well, are you, the viewer, a master of search engine optimization and programming? If you are or were, you wouldn't be looking at a free DIY template thing. You'd be creating your own, you'd be a programmer, developer. So the odds of the small business owner knowing what terms to program into their website, where to put these terms and keywords, and how to do it, the odds of that person knowing how to do it are very slim to none. Now, can you pay Wix and Weebly and Squarespace and Vistaprint and these other companies, low prices to get them to do it for you? Yes. And 9 times out of 10, they outsourced it overseas, or they tell you that they have a solution for you, and you can wait 6 months and keep paying and see if anything ever comes. Um, but honestly, you should see results within 90 days, if not sooner, if the results are coming. So visibility is very important for a new business. And if you're not going to get it, why go down that road? But people can't resist. But for the most part, these sites are overlooked by Google because they're seen as not legitimate businesses. Most of them are not listed in directories. So that's a big issue, visibility. Number two is perception. Most of the time, if you go to a website and you see a big banner at the top that says this free website is made by so-and-so, you're probably going to wonder if they're a legitimate business. Imagine going to a doctor or a hospital or a law firm website, and at the top you see a big banner that says this website is created for free by XYZ company or whatever. It might make you feel like, are they really legitimate? If they can't invest $2,000 or $3,000 for a professional state-of-the-art website or work with an agency, then how do I know that they're legitimate, that they could afford to have a roof, brick and mortar location, pay a lease and utilities and have employees if they're that cheap or that poor or that hard up? So that's a bad part of perception. The next issue affecting perception is that a free DIY site with ads all over it for competitors, or the big banner advertising the maker, can be seen as unsafe by more sophisticated website and internet users, that they're going to go to the website and see all these ads and pop-ups or things that don't work right or what have you, and just wonder, is this business really legitimate? I remember looking at a doctor website and it had a coming soon page up. And I remember just saying, this can't be a legitimate doctor, because doctors are going to make, tens of thousands of dollars, every day. Why would they not be able to invest in a professional online presence? Something is fishy with this. And we dug a little bit deeper and found out that it was not a legitimate healthcare provider. It was more like a clinic doing Botox or whatever, and the person really wasn't qualified to do that, had a temporary license, and on and on and on. So it's best to avoid these types of perceptions and biases if at all possible. Next, affecting perception is it can also show a lack of commitment on the part of the business owner. Again, if I go to a business website and it looks like a third grader did it, or like an ad, or it doesn't look professional, or like a larger competitor, then I'm going to think there's something fishy going on. They're not very professional. They're not very serious. They see internet marketing as a fad or something that only kids do. It's just going to be a turnoff and make you wonder why not just go to a larger competitor who doesn't have these problems? So let's go to number 3 is autonomy, a free DIY website. Well, basically that company is paying for the hosting. So you're getting the hosting for free. They're giving you this, one size fits all template that a million other companies are using. So they're giving you that and saying, fill in the blanks and do whatever you want. It can be, as a result of that, it can be deleted at any time with or without notifying you, because legally, why do they have to notify you? It's their property. It's like somebody sleeping in this room behind me. It's my room. I own it. So if I want to tell the person, get out, well, they have to split. So it's the same way. They have autonomy. They provide the hosting. They provide the generic template. You just fill in the blanks and they pop it up there and put their ads all over it. So if you say something that they do not like, or that may offend them, or that may offend someone else, or could be a potential lawsuit for any reason whatsoever, they can and probably will delete it without notice immediately. Why would they risk going to court for someone who's not giving them any money and probably never will? Next, regarding autonomy, is competition can shut it down. If you have a competitor who doesn't like your site, doesn't like what you're doing, or just thinks it's silly that you should have a free DIY site and trying to compete with them, they can simply get online and complain about it. That alone may or may not shut your site down or have it deleted, but it will certainly cause the provider to take a long, hard look at it. And enough of those don't look good. Why put yourself in those circumstances? Finally, relating to autonomy, is the content is regulated by the corporation owning those servers, as we've already said. Long story short, when I first started out in web design some 20 odd years ago, I didn't have two nickels to rub together. So I thought, I'd like to have a website showing my portfolio of small business websites and a lot of the writing that I did back then. So I created the site, and I spent several weeks trying to make it look the best that it could and writing the content and, really spending hours on each page. So anyway, long story short, I went to an interview. I took out my laptop, and the laptops were a lot more expensive back then, as you can imagine. So I went to the interview. I took out my laptop and ready to show the person my website. And guess what? There's nothing there. It's gone. So I apologized to the person. Said, hey, obviously I'm not going to get the job now, and I was very embarrassed. And it basically took me about 2 months of contacting the company before I got a email back basically saying, look, we don't know why it was deleted. Legally, that we don't owe you an explanation. We're never really going to know why, or they're not going to tell me. And they just said, if you want to pay us several $100s to bring it back, we can temporarily, or you could pay us another several hundred to look at the site and find out what it was that was offensive or made us take it down. And then you can pay us another couple of hundred to do a review, or and on and on and on. And I just said, look, this is ridiculous. Why not just go pay $100 for 1 year of hosting? I'm supposed to be this great developer, create my own site, pay for my own hosting, take a couple of weeks to get it up and running so that it looks professional, as good as I can do it. And then if someone disagrees, we can settle it in court, or, whatever the case may be. But you don't have to wake up every morning worried that your site could be deleted with or without notice, and that whatever work you do, whatever you write, could be removed. If you pay for your own hosting with a company such as Bluehost or GoDaddy or SiteGround or what have you, yeah, they can still remove your site, but 99.9% of the time, they're going to notify you before they do it. And you're going to have backups of your own. They're going to have backups, so you can always take it somewhere else. You're not a victim. Whereas if you're getting something for nothing, they don't owe you jack, and you're taking from them. Okay. So the next 2 points in this are lead generation. Lead generation, again, is getting more people to call you. You want more phone calls. You want more emails from people who want to work with you. It's very limited in your online search exposure is very limited with these free DIY templates. Again, because you're not an SEO expert. You're not going to know what to enter or how to do it, what backlinks there should be, what you should be linking to, what your content marketing strategy should be, on and on, all of these other things. So, and they're all going to be sorely limited in these DIY generic templates, whichever one you use, they all have limitations. When you pay for something, you have much, much more freedom, and you can tell someone that you're working with, this is what I want, and I'm going to hold you accountable. But you don't get that when you pay nothing. So it's sort of like telling somebody, to crank up the AC when you're not paying rent. You don't get that privilege. So lead generation is severely limited. Monetization is also going to cost you extra. So what is monetization? I'll give you a great example of this. There was a woman whose blog I enjoyed reading, and I read it daily. I enjoyed her blog. And anyway, long story short, she saw what I did for a living and she contacted me. Hey, David, could you create a website for my blog? Could you port everything over from this free DIY template over to a self hosted WordPress site? And I'm willing to pay $10 a month for hosting or whatever. And I need somebody to do this for free. And I said, first of all, it's highly unlikely that somebody's going to take the hundreds of pages that you wrote and move that over to a self-hosted site for you for free. That'd take days, if not several weeks, to do it all. Secondly, this free DIY template service, they own everything you wrote. Now, they may let you put it over somewhere, but technically they own it because it's their hosting and you gave it to them. Um, so that's something where you have to get in touch with them and ask them, if they want to feature what you wrote or what you drew or took a video of in one of their commercials, for example, they may do that because they own it. Just like when you post content on Facebook, they own everything that you post there. Now, how likely is it that Facebook wants to show your photo in one of their commercials? Probably unlikely, but they could if they wanted to. And that's why they can get all this information from people because they own it. You're using their service for free. They show you these disclaimers, you agree to it, so they can do what they want. So if you have a free DIY website, charging other people for money for anything, they can delete your site immediately for that. So let's say, for example, you have a church website down at one of these free template DIY things. If you solicit donations through your free site, they can shut you down if they want to at any time. If you want to write something or show photos or sketch work, they can take it and use it for commercials if they want. If it turns out that it's too similar to someone else's work and they complain, it can be deleted immediately. But typically monetization is where you want to charge for an ebook or a download or a course or services or take donations. You can't do that with these free DIY template sites. In most cases, you're going to have to pay them usually at least several $100s just to get that up and running. And you're going to have to play along with their terms and use whatever they tell you you are allowed to use and agree to their terms. In some cases, they'll take a percentage. But it depends on that provider. So, and finally, as far as lead generation, there are strict rules governing downloads, courses, as we said, any other type of monetization, which we already discussed. Finally, is profit versus loss. There are hidden costs all over the place regarding these free DIY template sites. You're going to have to pay if you want a professional domain name. So instead of your website being, free service provider.mysite.com, and you want something more professional, you're going to have to pay for that domain name, that URL. And that's usually going to be something like $50 a month, whereas regular professional paid hosting is going to be more like $5 a month. So you're going to have to pay a lot more in hosting. If you want to get any kind of extra help, that's going to be a couple extra $100, and on and on and on and on. There's going to be hidden fees every step of the way. As far as profit versus loss, you can also go several years without getting any leads through that, and you'll never know it. And you just won't know, why is my phone not ringing? I don't understand. Whereas if you work with a professional digital marketer or with an agency, you would spend $2,000-3,000 usually with an individual, and probably more like triple that if you were to work with an agency. But you can hold them accountable and say, look, I really need to get my phone ringing with more leads here. I need more business. And they're happy to work with you and try to set realistic expectations. You can't do that with a free DIY template service provider. And even if you're paying them for improved SEO, odds are they're outsourcing it to another company or overseas. And finally, profit versus loss. It can almost always be more efficient, more economical to work with an experienced professional from day one than spending years trying to do everything yourself, chasing your tail. So, I wish I could sit here and tell you that these free DIY website template builder services are fabulous and they're great, but you're getting something for nothing. And that's really the bottom line. If you have a hobby that you just do for fun and you don't really care whether anybody sees it or not, or it's just for your own little group or circle of influence, and you don't care if it shows up in Google search results, then it's fine. If you want to write your opinion on something and you don't care if anybody reads it or not, then that's fine. If someone deletes it or what have you at any time, or suspends your account or deletes it at any time and you don't care, you're okay with that, then again, it's fine. But if it's about getting attention and making money and building a business, then free just ain't going to do it. So anyway, I hope that this video has been helpful. My name's David, and my business website is DMS.BLUE. If you'd like to get more information on digital marketing or ask some follow-up questions, feel free to visit DMS.BLUE. Just type it into the address bar like it sounds, DMS.BLUE, and I'd be happy to get back to you with any questions and any requests for help. So thanks for watching and have a great day and be safe out there.